Dan Larson here, and I'm at the Photobooth taking a look at some G.I. Joe Sigma 6 figures from my personal collection. I was going through some of my bins over the Thanksgiving holiday and realized that some of my stuff was a little disorganized and/or I couldn't specifically remember which pieces I had. For instance, I would have bet you a million tacos that I owned a Cobra Commander, but if you take a quick look through here, you will not find one. He wasn't with the rest of this stuff. That means either I had him and I sold or traded him at some point, or he's been disorganized. He's in the wrong bin, and now I cannot sleep until I know for sure whether or not I own him. So back to work. I've always liked the Sigma 6 line in theory. The styling of the characters, the almost Centurion's nature of the peg holes. If you're not familiar with it, each of the characters has sort of like modular armor peg holes. Front, back, sides, pretty much in the exact same spots where Centurions had them, to switch all kinds of bits and stuff around. Similar to Centurions, the peg holes, all that stuff, the modular gear, the cartoonishly absurd scale of some of the weapons. You can see long ranges, sniper rifle in the back here. It just never fit for me as the mainstream G.I. Joe line. Like, it was okay as a cool tangent, a supplement to G.I. Joe, but I was never completely sold on it as the natural progression of the line. But, it only lasted like 2 years from 05 to 06 or 07, somewhere in there. And in 2007, the 25th anniversary line started and got everything temporarily back on track through the movies and Renegades, and it was a really good run for like 5 or 6 years for Joe there. And now we're back in the dead zone. There was a Sigma 6 cartoon that I still haven't seen, and this was a line I didn't collect while it was being released. I think maybe I was buying Star Wars, Gundam stuff. I don't know. What were you buying in 2005, 2006, around there? I know I had some Marvel Legends, but I wasn't all in on Marvel Legends. I don't know if there was a line I was really going after. Just stuff here and there, probably some vintage things, whatever was catching my eye. My Instagram doesn't go back that far, so there's no real way for me to know for sure, and that's the only way I can remember anything anymore. But I don't think many people really were collecting this line, especially G.I. Joe people. I think it priced out the kids, and the adult collectors just weren't looking for an 8-inch line of figures with cloth outfits. Duke's got a vest here, Storm Shadow has cloth pants, I don't think those collectors were looking for cloth outfits and missile firing mechanisms and modular weapons, and they aren't for the joints that they do have. You've got a torso joint here, you've got head pivot, shoulders, single jointed elbows, you've got wrist swivel and pivot, knees that turn, and there's no thigh swivel, but you do have a rotate here, and you have knee, you have ankle swivel, ankle pivot. And a lot of these joints are heavily ratcheted, but they aren't as posable as you would think an 8-inch line of figures really would be, even though they seem like they've got enough joints to hit some cool poses. And like I said, there's some strong ratchets in there, and they can be tough to pose, but too much with those ratchets, and they do tend to get a bit loose. So it's kind of hit or miss. These figures are all in pretty good condition. I've either purchased them from, longtime collectors, one-owner collections, or I managed to get them new and opened them, old stock, and opened them myself. But if you follow Toy Galaxy for any length of time, you probably already know that I'm not a fan of cloth goods on figures. It's been my experience over the years that it gets dirty. Those fabrics discolor, they stretch and warp, and after like 5 or 6 years, even in cases where you don't take the figure out of the package, the cloth just degrades too much, and that bugs me. And in the case of Sigma 6 here, not only do you have figures with pants and shirts, and Destro's got a cool jacket back here, and Long Range has a jacket back here, you've also got elastic bands on the armor parts here, on these buckles. Long Range has some. Everybody's got like a belt or something, and you're just those elastic bands are just begging to deteriorate and fall apart. I really don't know what these figures are going to look like in 10 or 20 years, if anybody's even bothering to collect them at that point. But some of the good points about these are, like I said, the designs pull away from that traditional, military G.I. Joe aesthetic, which is what draws most people to the line originally. But I really did like the modern, futuristic streamlined. There's a little bit of an anime feel in there, and the oversized weapons. This is just a different version of Duke here. So you got Duke here and Duke here. There's like 6 different versions of Duke. They were really trying to push Duke as being, you know, the main character, when the main character's always been Snake Eyes. But anyway, this is regular Snake Eyes. You've got in the back here. This wolf doesn't actually go with the Snake Eyes, but it does for my collection. This is Jungle Armor Snake Eyes back here, which is just a ridiculous sort of thing. But, you know, there was 10 different versions of Duke, 10 different versions of Snake Eyes, and he's got some cool stuff. You know, you can mix and match. His visor came off. Just put that right back on. You can mix and match all this stuff. There's all these button-activated things that can be done. He's got, like, blades on his armor leggings here. And the other interesting thing about this line was that, you know, the weapons can be swapped around. I think Snake Eyes' sword here can be, I think it can be comboed up with his knife. They have these, like, attachment pieces, these combiner pegs. You can see that there. That allow you to do some, you know, things with the weapons. He can even, there's a knob here, he can use this sort of more like a tonfa sort of thing where he's holding it here. You know, the size did allow for some very interesting things to be done weapon-wise. For instance, you know, you've got, you know, pretty much everybody's got weapons that can go in holsters. Really just, they slide right in. Plug that back in there. You know, Lieutenant Stone's, he's got some translucent pieces in his armor. And to my knowledge, this was the introduction of the character. He may have appeared in the comics or something. I'm not exactly sure canon-wise where he comes from. But the scale at this point really allows them to do some other stuff with weapons and the like. So, for instance, on Duke's Giganto Cannon here, this actually is, I need to get a new set of batteries for this because there's supposed to be lights and sounds and stuff. But this piece plugs in here. This actually folds down, collapses down, and then this whole thing fits in here. And there's like 3 or 4 different attachments for the front of that gun. Long range back here. Can you guys just slide out of the way? Long range here with his incredibly large gun. You know, he's got some pouches in his some pockets, inside his jacket here, where you know, he's got a knife hidden in there. He's got another pocket in here where you can store the shotgun. This shotgun actually opens up, so you can load it. And then all these pieces of his gun here, the scope comes off, this comes off, the rocket launcher comes off, the bipod comes off, the ammo clip comes off, and then all this stuff can pack down into, every figure came with a footlocker, just like the old vintage 12-inch line. And they're all packed with soundproof foam, which really just added a level of luxury to this line. With the silhouette, the perfectly die-cut shapes for everything. This is Storm Shadow's extra gear. He's got some shoes with claws on them, a couple of size, a couple extra. This is his short sword and his, I don't know if you can see all this stuff. He's got his claws here. And then, you know, on top of whatever he's actually holding, he's got his sword, his sheath. Just a great line of things. You know, Destro here. I don't go for cloth goods, but I can't complain about that jacket. That's a fantastic jacket. He's got this giant medallion, just gorgeous, shiny, jeweled medallion of the Cobra logo. He's not messing around. He's got his briefcase, which has a, if I can open it, has a concealed weapon in it. Just a lot of great details, a lot of fun. I don't know if that, you know, would the line have done better? It's, you know, the original G.I. Joe line was the 12-inch. They turned into the 3 3/4 and were very successful with that run. Would it have 8 inches sort of splitting the difference on the two? Does this line work better if it's at 3 3/4 inch? I wish they'd take a crack at it. There were some smaller figures released. I think there was like some mech suits or something that might have been part of that line. I'm not sure. I really wasn't paying attention to G.I. Joe those years, and I haven't really gone back to fill in those gaps in my knowledge base, because a lot of the figures in that, might have been Valor versus Venom. I really should have checked before I started this. But these designs have never been put out as, you know, the regular 3 3/4 inch. I would love to see a line that homages, that pays tribute to all this stuff You know, give me this character with this suit in the modern, you know, a bit more of a realistic take on it. Take the modular, you know, peg holes off of it, but give me that figure. Give me this gun. Give me this Destro in a new line. This is actually Firefly back here. There's two different Fireflies, regular and version 2. This is the first one. This is the second one. I think they're 2 years apart, maybe 1 year apart. But this doesn't really say Firefly to me. This says Firefly to me, and just the pseudo skull mask with the pouches on the armor and just the coloring. This one really pops. I find this one to be a bit boring. And then back here you've got Zartan with some of his gear. They all, like I said, they all come with a footlocker, and in some cases they're just overloaded with accessories to the point of absurdity. I don't see Zartan's right here right now, but he's got his crossbow arrow launcher there, and in the back here we've got, this is Ninja Bat. He's actually missing an earpiece here, but and he's got, not my favorite character design. His chest plate comes off. This pops off here. You can see the gears and stuff on the inside. And then he's got some laser swords, and he's got some, oh, I guess that shoots that off. All right, well, this arm stretches out, as robots do. It's actually pretty long. I'm surprised it's that long. And then this button draws it back in. Hurts the articulation of that figure, but it's a pretty cool feature. And in the back, you've got, so Ninja Bat, Skybat, Skybat. I have 2 of these. And the other one, if you do decide to pick one of these up, be careful, because some of these harder plastics have not survived well. They've gotten very hard over the years. And this one in particular, the other one, I moved these grenade launchers. I don't know what these are supposed to be, but I moved it and they just crumbled in my hands as if they were made out of gold Transformers plastic. Just absolutely deteriorated. That was unfortunate. And then when I was putting this gun on this guy's arm, you can see here where there's like a piece that goes over his arm, and it's actually like that on both sides. There's this, so you put it through the hole and then attach his hand to the handle. And this piece just cracked off and almost hit me in the eye. It was very dangerous, so be careful when you're out there. But cool robot design. That didn't break, it just popped off. I love the wings. There's actually a couple of figures. I'm still working on the collection. I've got a lot of figures that I still need to get my hands on. And there's a land-air sea set with torpedo, backblast, and barrel roll. And I mean, it's just straight up Centurions. It looks really great. Especially Barrel Roll, the air guy with his aviator helmet and jetpack and wings and stuff. Actually, I think it's these exact same wings, but very Centurions. Anyway, I love this line. I've still got a lot of figures to pick up. I'm not gonna get the whole collection. I'm not really a completist on stuff like this. Just there's other figures that I know exist, Roadblock and those 3 that I just said, Torpedo, Barrel Roll, and Backblast, that I would like to add to my collection. I gotta find out if I have that Cobra Commander, because he's really great, and it's one case where he's got a cloth cape, and that's fine with me. But anyway, it's Sigma 6. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Is this a line you ever got into? Is this really your first exposure you've had to it? And if it is, let me know what you think. Comments down below. Thanks. Later.